Howdy all, welcome to another video where we'll be going over the process of batch renaming your files. And this is an important step that you should be taking in your workflow because although it might seem trivial, it's actually quite important for organizing and finding your files later on. And I'm sure all of you know that usually when you take a picture with your cell phone, mobile phone, or a DSLR, you end up with a file name that looks something like this. And I don't know about you, but when I see this in my folders or in Zoner, I have no idea what that file means. None at all. And this is why it's important to create some sort of system when you're working with your photos so that you can easily find them, organize them, and access them later on. And in addition to that, you can use the catalog so you can further organize your files by keywords, descriptions, star ratings, even color ratings, subfolders, and etc. And this is all just to help you organize your files much more clearly. Nonetheless, renaming your files is a crucial step that you can take when importing the files directly onto your computer. And if you'd like to get an idea of something that I use and my colleagues here at Zoner Photo Studio use, you're in luck because we can check that out right now. Let's go look. So I've got a bunch of photos here ready to go in Zoner Photo Studio where we'll be covering a system or workflow of how we can rename our files. Of course, this isn't the only way or set way of doing everything, as everyone's going to have their own, but let's take a look at one particular way of doing so. Okay, so I recommend that you rename your files during the import process onto your computer if you do import through Zoner Photo Studio. We're going to go over a variation that works outside of the regular import process and which you can apply to photographs already on your hard drive. Right, so first we'll need to select the photos that we want to rename. And if we want to select all the files in our folder, then we just hit Control A, which is of course like on Windows. It selects all of them, and because we selected more than one photograph, a box will appear at the bottom right of the interface dubbed Batch Operations right here. Besides all of the other functions that we have here, we're solely right now interested in the Batch Rename tool right now. The first option we have available to us is if we want to save the image to the same folder or move them elsewhere. It just depends on what you need and want at the time. A more important option though is underneath, and that is the ability to overwrite. Then make sure that we have the rename box checkmarked, or all of what we're covering today won't work at all. Now we come to the most important part of our process, and that is the name we'll give to the chain of photographs that are associated with our batch rename. Again, you can name them in whatever way you choose, but we'd like to present a way we find to be useful and help you in the long run. Click into the file name field, and then once you have your name, click over here onto this little arrow where you'll find several symbols that stand for specific format information you'd find in a chain of photographs associated with the overwriting. So I'd like to explain a bit more, as this might have just confused you. When you take a picture, your camera automatically applies something that's known as EXIF data, and that's going to be the location it was shot, the time it was shot, date, etc. And Zoner Photo Studio takes this data and uses it for various purposes, and one of those purposes is the batch renaming. Take the year format as an example. If we add it into our chain of data we want to have, then Zoner Photo Studio will, along with the new name we've given, tag the year this photo was taken to the format. We do recommend that you use the year as a starting point though, so I'll set that in now. And the next parameter we recommend selecting is the month the photo was taken. Go back to the arrow and add the month. For the next step, we recommend adding a custom parameter like a description, and in this example we can put the word concert, for example, but you could also use something like band. It's up to you. And the last parameter that should not be missing is the counter. This is important because if it was missing, then all of the pictures we've selected to rename will have the exact same name, and that's not going to be useful for us in any way whatsoever. Then be sure to set up the amount of numbers you need in the counter section, but you most likely won't need more than 4 digits, as you probably won't be batch renaming more than 9,999 photographs. In our example here, we'll just have something between 20 or 30 photos, so there's definitely no need to add any more. And the final important part of our chain is selecting the correct extension. If the extension isn't filled in here, then the program may not recognize the format of the pictures, and then we could have lots of issues when opening them later. And lastly, we recommend also checking this box right here, remove accents or replace spaces, because some programs could have trouble opening the files if there are any symbols it doesn't recognize, or spaces or accents. Say you're working in another language, something like that, it's not going to recognize it. Alright, all that's left now is just to click on Apply to All, and ZPS X will rename all of the selected files into the format we just applied and selected. And notice how our photographs now contain the info that we specified, and we can easily understand what they are when we compare it to the automatically applied random digits that we had before that mobile phones, cell phones, or cameras commonly apply to the files when they're taken. So that's it. That's another tool in your arsenal so that you can better organize your photographs. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends if you thought it was useful, or let us know what you think below. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video, and until then, take care.